Now, we are joined now by Commerzbank's global equities economist, Peter Dixon. Peter, welcome. Thank you for joining us today. First of all, what's your take on Ben Bernankes' comments? Were there any surprises there, or was it just that he put together all that negative data that's been dripping out of the US recently?
Yeah, I think it was a case of the Fed saying, well, yeah, we recognise that the economy's hit a bit of a soft patch. There are more things we can do, but we're not going to tell you what they are yet because we don't really know how they're going to work. And I think that was the gist of his speech. So in a sense, I think he was buying time and hoping that the soft patch through which we're currently going is just a temporary one.
Now, also, the midterms are coming up in the US, and presumably President Barack Obama going to be under some kind of pressure in the run-up to them. It's the housing market, really, that probably makes the most depressing reading from a US government point of view.
Yeah, I suppose it does. But I suppose if you look at the housing market in a slightly longer-term context, I mean, yes, it's come off a little bit in the course of the last few months, but it's not actually collapsing to the same degree as it was, prior to sort of early 2009. So I think there is a sense that the housing market has bottomed out. It will take some time to perhaps get rid of the excess overhang of unsold homes, which is certainly an obstacle. But overall, I think the market will probably creep along the bottom for a while to come. Not going to do the government any good politically, but there again, I think it's probably too late to put in place any measures to get the economy back on track before the midterms.
I mean, is it likely that a new stimulus package would be introduced, or would we have to see a further softening before that happened?
I think we need to see a few more months, probably maybe even a couple of quarters of really serious weak activity before the Fed and indeed the federal government steps in with additional measures. I think there's a feeling that sufficient material has been put in place already to help the economy through the soft patch, and I think there's a bit of a reluctance to do more, particularly given that the Europeans are actually already taking back some of their stimulus measures.
Well, indeed, it does seem that there is quite a divergence now between the European position and the US position. Does that matter that things are so different on each side of the Atlantic?
I think it does, because it clearly suggests that the global consensus which prevailed in late 2008, early 2009 to get the global economy back on its feet has broken down. And here in Europe, of course, the emphasis is all about deficits and debt and how to prevent them getting worse in the future. And of course, Europe still is quite a large economy in the global picture. And if we see a tightening of policy here, that could impact upon the rest of the world quite significantly.
Yes, and at what point does the US deficit become a real issue the way it's done in Europe?
Well, to be honest, I don't think we're going to get anything like the same kind of problems in the US as we've seen over on this side of the Atlantic, primarily because the likes of the Chinese still want to buy dollars, they still want to recycle their own surpluses, and it's not in their interests to force the kind of market problems upon the US as we've seen here in Europe.
Peter Dixon of Commerzbank, thank you very much indeed.